Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to Valorant News, and after seeing the Sentinels versus 100 Thieves drama of a couple of days ago, Stewie2k has indicated his intention to make the return to professional play, this time in Valorant, and saying that he's going to plan to do it for franchising. If he doesn't get a spot initially, he's going to grind until he does get an opportunity, and even Sinatraa and Sabrosa are potentially jumping on the bandwagon as well. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to discuss today. First of all, I wanted to mention real quick some news with regard to what franchising or partnerships are going to look like next year. Champions Istanbul will have a couple of rewards apparently if you watch them, which might look something like the following. Now this is George Geddes says is the plan for next season. So a mid-February season starts. There is supposedly going to be only 30 teams, so 10 per region. They are going to narrow the amount of teams they currently have down in all regions down to 6 or so, well, down to 10. But in North America, for example, there's only going to be 6 to 7 probably, and then maybe a team like Loud or Crew, and then maybe Fury or something will get the 3 spots from Latin America and Brazil. So, definitely an interesting situation there, but obviously big organizations are going to miss out. But he believes mid-February, that's the season start date next season. The teams will effectively get informed as to whether they're getting in or not by, I think, mid-September the plan was, and the season is going to, well, feature 10 teams, of course, in each region, and then we'll conclude in September 2023. So a relatively short season, all things considered, right? If it's only going from February down to September, and then from October, December, or October, November, December, January, February, it's like a 5-month transfer window. Seems to me like the off-season shouldn't be that long, but that is the present rumor on what Riot are planning to do with the Valorant scene for next year. So we'll see how this one goes, of course, but yeah, those are the present rumors to keep you guys updated on. Wanted to mention this as well real quick before we talk about the Stewie2k stuff, that Edward Gaming are currently eating up the East Asian LCQ, and it looks like they are on form to potentially become a Chinese team actually going to Champions, which is a very exciting prospect. But yeah, they've been pretty much blowing everyone out the park here. They took down Northampton yesterday 2-0. Game 1 on Ascent was 13-8. Game 2 on Bind was incredible, 21-19 after so many overtimes. Edward Gaming finally get the job done. But yeah, they currently find themselves sitting in this bracket, having not lost a map so far in this tournament, and well, K1 as well might well be the team to face Northampton. Also, I believe a Chinese team. So, like, the Chinese guys are destroying this East Asian LCQ right now, which is an interesting prospect for the entirety of, well, World Valorant, effectively, because I was wondering who would get out on top this tournament. I thought maybe Northampton, Crazy Raccoon, like some big names there, but Edward Gaming seem like the favourites to do it, and it could be an all-Chinese finals possibly here as well, depending on how things go over the coming hours and days, of course, and this match also is probably ongoing as you guys are watching this video, and the finals is coming up tomorrow, so definitely interesting to see how that one will go. Let's talk then about the Stewie2k situation, right? So Shroud, of course, former Counter-Strike legend, has come back recently into Sentinels, delivered the goods, I thought, for this team, played pretty well, did what he had to do, was nothing spectacular for the team, but, did a solid job, and proved, I think, like, his worth still after many years out of the game, especially in, like, a clutch situation, if the team was maybe had more time and built around him a little bit more to kind of set him up for those clutches. Like, I think Shroud would more than likely over, well, even the Guard series, what they could have won, and we'll talk about the Guard here in a second, if maybe they didn't make those mistakes in Icebox, right, when Shroud was planting the bomb, stuff like this. Like, a team set up in a better way could certainly show Shroud in maybe a more positive light, and I think they did kind of get that in their last couple of matches, in fairness. But Shroud, I think other teams will look at him now. If Sentinels don't want to build around it for next year's franchising, or they decide to go a different route, like, Shroud will be a player that is on the mind of other teams, right, because not only does he bring decent in-game performance, but also, like, absolutely immense value outside of the game itself. So Shroud will be, if he wants to keep competing, as I believe he does, if the league is based out of Los Angeles where he lives, like, he will plan to still live there and potentially play in these matches on the stage if that's what they're planning to do for the Americas League, which we believe is a likely possibility as it stands. So Shroud will probably stick around. Now, other players, the likes of Stewie2k, might well have been looking at this and thinking, well, damn, like, if Shroud's getting it on, like, competing right here as he was, then, why couldn't I make the return as well? Of course, Stewie2k had a difficult last couple of years in the Counter-Strike side, struggled maybe for motivation within that team. He's now come to Valorant as a streamer effectively full-time, and I'm sure he was looking at what Shroud's done and thinking, well, why can't I do exactly the same thing? He tweets this out: Sentinels versus 100 Thieves got me thinking, at Wardell, at Sabrosa, at Brax, of course, at Sinatraa, we are ready, right? So yeah, plenty of replies to this one. Even Sabrosa says, now, of course, Sabrosa currently on TSM, right? And TSM, we would imagine, are going to get a spot next year. Now, look, regardless of what teams actually get a spot next season for franchising, that does not mean those team of 5 players is going to be the same, right? TSM have struggled, of course, with this roster they currently have. It would very much surprise me if TSM get a franchise partnership spot next season and they decide just to run it back with the same set of 5 players. Like, there will be many upgrades out there theoretically, because there's going to be so many free agents from teams that don't make it to partnerships and therefore like could potentially get picked up. So to me, it seems very unlikely that the TSM team will, as it presently stands, will be the same next year if they do get in. Now look, whether that's enough for Wardell, Stewie2k, Brax and Sinatraa to come into TSM and make that team of 5 seems impossibly unlikely, but maybe a couple of these players get an option, right? And Stewie2k has actually made this clear himself that he reckons, like, look, if I don't get a spot immediately next season, I will keep working until I do get an opportunity, right? And in a similar way to Shroud, if Stewie can prove some ability maybe in certain situations, like, teams will start giving him offers. That's just how it's going to be. And Sinatraa, another big question mark. We haven't really talked about Sinatraa for quite some time. There was a theory that, okay, maybe the whole Kanpeki thing at Sentinels was just kind of waiting for Sinatraa to come back, but maybe he screwed himself a little bit by tweeting about the whole fact that he hadn't done the training, and then, or like, he was okay to compete, and then Wright said, no, you've got to do the training. Apparently the training's now been done, and like, he should be free to compete, but whether an organization in franchising wants to give him a chance, that's a bit of a question. But in due course, I imagine it will happen at some point or another. So I mean, that would be, like, honestly content gold if it's Stewie2k and Sinatraa and Wardell or something on a team together next season. Not sure they'd be particularly good, but no doubt the viewership would be pretty immense, especially if they played up against a team like Sentinels. I wanted to share this clip here from Shu, where he said a couple of days ago that he has confirmed his intention to go pro in Valorant, saying that even if he misses franchising, he's going to keep streaming, keep grinding, keep watching, being a student of the game, and then try and get picked up. So yeah, he's going to try his best to get a spot in the franchise league. If it doesn't happen immediately, he reckons it's going to happen down the line.
Every day I'll be on. Every day I'll be on the stream. I'll be grinding ranked. I'm going to try to get into scrims. And then LCQ will happen. Champions will happen. Off season comes. Franchising comes. Even if I miss franchising, I'm down to keep streaming. You want to double watch and be the student of the game, and then get picked up. Yeah. Oh yeah, you do. But we'll try. We'll see how everything plans out.
So of course, formerly Cloud9 Stewie2k, they were doing it last night, and as though Cloud9 was starting to kind of say right here, nice little tweet talking about the former Sentinels players that they had as part of Cloud9 at some time in the past. But unfortunately for Cloud9, they got cursed by Exit. Right? They gave them the 4th place curse. Cloud9 of course went on to play 100 Thieves last night and got pretty much destroyed, as we shall see. The first series though was FaZe versus the Guard, and this was a series I thought FaZe might win it in 3 maps. I thought it would be a pretty close affair, but the Guard, honestly, like, they played fantastic Valorant, and I'm really impressed by what the Guard have done here, because their first game they played against Sentinels was super sloppy. They were pretty terrible back at stage 2, but they seem to have once again refound themselves, like, at what they were doing back in stage 1, and maybe honestly even looking better at times than what they were doing in stage 1. Like, I think kind of what maybe threw them off was the whole, like, when the chamber meta came into effect, they weren't really sure what to do about it. Now they've kind of figured out what to do in terms of roles, compositions, where to use chamber, where not to use chamber. Like, it seems to be working out for them so well right now. This series honestly was not even close. I mean, yeah, look at this 1v1 up against Dicey. You'd put money on Dicey to win this one, but wow, he just gets absolutely demolished, and the flick was ridiculous. 6-3 at this point, and the game is not long for this world. The Guard demolished them on Haven, and then game 2 Icebox, that was not close either, right? I mean, Valens just locking down the site, the defense was holding strong, and FaZe just had absolutely no answer, right? That's the thing with FaZe, like, they do rely heavily on their kind of star players to pop off, and the Guard, like, everyone can pop off at any given moment, which is an impressive feature of this Guard team, has been for quite some time. They stuck together, they went through the difficulties, and now they are 1 series away of qualifying for champions regardless. They will probably feel the Guard like they should have already qualified, because all they had to do after winning the North American kind of a challenger side, or the main event, right, in North America back in stage 1, all they had to do in stage 2 was, like, do a good enough job, get to playoffs, get some points, and they would have been there guaranteed with enough points to go to champions automatically. But because Exit came through, won stage 2 while the Guard faltered, and then went to Masters, and, you know, of course got some points there, like, all of a sudden it was Exit that were the number 2 seed, automatically guaranteed to champions with OpTic, not the Guard. So they'll probably feel like they should have already qualified, but they are 1 series away from getting the job done again. If FaZe get destroyed, they will go down to the losers finals today. Thought this was cool actually as well that Cupid, right, having recently joined this team as kind of the assistant coach, like, he's getting an awful lot of credit by the entire team. So I thought it was really cool. He's coming up with some new ideas, helping turn this team in the right direction. But yeah, 2-0 versus FaZe. And look at the numbers here, right? 13-5, 13-7. This is a demolition job, to be honest. Everyone positive on the Guard, and, you know, Superman and Dicey and these guys who you usually expect to deliver very nicely had a really tough time breaking them down. And then speaking of, well, Superman's former teammate and generally someone who always is going to turn up at a last chance qualifier, qualifier. It's Derek and 100 Thieves. Cloud9, I think like my predictions yesterday were pretty terrible, but I think I took 100 Thieves to beat Cloud9 here. I might be wrong. But this guy, Derek, man, we'll look at the clutch numbers here in a second. But Derek has more clutches than pretty much everyone else on the top like 10 list combined. It was like absurd like that. Like you just put him in a 1v1. The result is a foregone conclusion. 100 Thieves looked incredibly impressive here. And what I really enjoyed as well here actually is because Sean Gares, as like when he came in as a coach, I was really happy that they made that move. I thought it was a really intelligent decision based on Sean's mind for the game. But like when he calls his timeouts and the things he says, like, obviously have incredible impact with this team because they pretty much always seem to deliver results. And game 2 on the Fracture, this was a closer one. Cloud9 were delivering the goods. Some nice plays here from Curry to keep them alive. And yeah, Asuna kind of as the entry guy was making some good plays. Yeah, okay, still maybe not playing as disciplined Asuna as maybe he should have been, and kind of got carried by his team at times. But I mean, still, 100 Thieves got themselves over the line, and the winning moment honestly wasn't even too hype here because they knew that this one wasn't particularly close. Like, okay, yeah, they were kind of hype, but it wasn't a crazy hype moment because this series they pretty much run away with it. Sean Gares is enjoying the time as well. Even Nature was like, yeah, go to sleep dreaming about Sean Gares' timeouts because they're just so good. And as Curry says, you know, 0-2 for 100 Thieves, they're out of there. And well, yes, Cloud9 will not be retaining their crown of winning the LCQ as they did last year, beating Rise Nation. This time it's Derek to actually get on top of it. I mean, look at these numbers, right? I mean, okay, my statement was a bit of an exaggeration, but I mean, still, it's just insane. He has 14 clutches so far this tournament, and everyone else, like the maximum anyone else has is 4. 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, all the way down the boards. And Derek is just there with 14 clutches, and like 37% of clutch situations he's in. Like, he'll always deliver the goods. So that's just ridiculous. But now the challenge only gets harder with them. I mean, 100T taking down Cloud9 2-0, not close at all. And Cloud9, I guess we'll see the next year in probably in the franchising side, but probably with a rather different roster. But this is how the bracket looks. And I predicted actually that NRG would lose to Thieves and make the losers bracket run and then beat Thieves. But we're actually going to get a different rematch where FaZe took down 100 Thieves 2-1 in the first time in the upper semi-finals, and now Thieves will play them again in the lower finals. And honestly, based on the momentum that Thieves currently have, I think I'm going to take Thieves here 2-1. Like, it's tough to call. Obviously, this is the only series of today. It's also a best of 5, so it's going to be like really deep map pools required. And I have a bit more faith in 100 Thieves over a best of 5 to be the marginally better team than I do FaZe. But I mean, look, last time they matched, it went the other way. So tough to call. Definitely intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.